Good afternoon, everyone. I hope you all can hear me. Please reply via chat box. Welcome to agricultureinformation.com webinar. Today we are going to interact with Mr. Satish Kumar Natarajan on SRI method of paddy cultivation. The format of the webinar will be as follows. I'll mute everyone in the audience except Mr. Satish. Then Mr. Satish will make his presentation, and after we listen to him, we can ask him our questions by typing in chat box in GoToMeeting, or you can also email me at ed@agricultureinformation.com. I repeat, ed@agricultureinformation.com. Then I'll forward the questions sent by you, and if we have time, I may unmute one or two members in the audience so that you can directly talk with Mr. Satish. Mr. Satish, I am unmuting you. Please start your presentation.
Hello?
Yeah, please start.
Hello, am I audible?
Yeah. Please go ahead.
Yeah, thanks ma'am, thanks for this opportunity. Actually, I am Satish Kumar Natarajan. I was working with IBM for a couple of years. So, because of my passion, I have quit the company. I have been looking after agri development for the last 1.5 years. So this is about me. So now I'm going to talk something about SRI method of paddy cultivation. So what is SRI? SRI is system of rice intensification. So it is a method aimed at increasing the yield of rice. So producing paddy cultivation. Actually, it's not a new variety nor a hybrid. So it's purely a set of rules or procedures should be followed to increase the productivity of rice in paddy cultivation. The main thing here is we would be managing water, nutrients, and orientation of plants in such a way so we could increase the yield without increasing the cost of input. The following are the steps to be followed in SRI method. So actually we have to follow a different set of process from the very beginning, as it's completely different from the traditional methods. So right from the beginning, like from the soaking of paddy seeds for 12 hours. So this is the first step. So now even in conventional methods, they used to soak the paddy seeds in water for 12 hours. So once they see the germination in that, so like after soaking it in a gunny bag or make a heap and cover it with some gunny cloths or whatever, so they would leave it for, we have to leave it for 24 hours. So after that we could observe white root emerging from the seeds. So once we find out those roots, so it's a sign we have to ready to sow it. So while in conventional method we have to prepare an area for sowing this paddy seeds, but actually in conventional method we have to fill it with water. So we will allow the water to stay there. So we will sow the paddy seed on top of that. But here we have to raise beds. So in such a way, like we have to raise beds for the height of 5 to 6 inches. So it should be completely dry. So we have the difference between the conventional and this SRI method starts from there. So in traditional we would be allowing the water to stay on top of the soil, so it's like stagnating. But here we would be using the dry area. So yeah, so just to raise the beds. Actually, this is what we have done in our field. So we have raised the beds for 5 to 6 inches, and we use some manure, some organic manure or vermicompost, and we mix it with soil and we prepare the bed. So the bed should be at the width of 4 or 5 feet, and is based on our convenience. 4 or 5 feet, and it should be at length of whatever our requirement would be. So consider, say it's for 1 acre. So for 1 acre we need 2 or 3 kilogram of seeds. So in normal conventional method, it should be around 20 to 30 kg. So there's a huge difference between the number of seeds we would be using for this method against the normal method. So for 1 acre, we should be in need of four beds of width 4 feet and the length 25 feet. So once we find out the seeds are started germinating, so we will just broadcast on top of it uniformly. So once we broadcasted it, so we apply a layer of manure on top of that. So either manure, or we could even use straws, that paddy straws, to cover the seeds. So once we have, the main purpose is to avoid direct sunlight for the seeds, and another is to make sure that the ants or some kind of insects or birds won't take away those seeds. So we are covering a layer on top of the seeds. So we are letting it grow for 8 to 12 days or maximum 15 days. So that's the total time period we will be giving the seeds to grow. In normal method, it would be 30 to 40 days, but here we would be allowing only to grow only for the maximum of 15 days. So you'd be having no more than 2 leaves per seedling. So once we find out after 12 or 15 days, so the saplings would be ready to be transformed. So the land preparation for this SRI method is kindly similar to that of normal traditional method, but here before transplanting, we won't allow too much of water to stay on top of it. So we'd be reducing the water. So and we would be it would be like we are just moistening the soil, and that's it. So there won't be any water stagnation even during the transportation of the saplings. So this is the way we have to do it. And the difference between traditional and this method is, in traditional there is no uniform spacing between the 2 hills while transplanting. But here you will be following certain specifications, like there should be a distance of 25 to 30 centimeter between each hill, either it's vertical or horizontal. So this is how we have to make the transplantation. And in this, so after transplanting, so it should be in a way like we can see the paddy in groups actually. So we could draw a line in between those 2 vertical groups of seedlings, and in each hill there won't be more than 1 seedling per hill. In normal traditional method, there would be 5 to 6 seedlings per hill, but here it would be only 1 seedling per hill at most. If the if the soil is too sandy, and if it can't hold 1 seedling, we can use two seedlings, and that's at most. So it won't be more than 1 seedling for the SRI method. And the problem here is the initial stages. If we are first going for the SRI method, the laborers you will be getting is not of skilled laborers. I mean, skilled to work under this process. Normally they would be planting for 4 or 5 seedlings per hill, and they won't form any kind of patterns while planting. They'll just to plant randomly. So we have to make sure like they should plant in a sequence manner, and they should follow a certain straight line. So we have to make use of some twine or thread. So like consider a paddy field of 1 acre. So we should we should have a thread of the full length. So and we should keep it at the both corners of the land. So we have to have the markings of 25 centimeter or 30 centimeter in the thread. So that the people who are transplanting it would plant it exactly on the mark, so that we could maintain a uniformity straight line while transplanting. So this is kind of tedious when we are starting it. consider if I'm going to the SRM method only for this, I mean just from this year onwards, so the labor cost would be a bit high compared to traditional methods, because they're used to those methods, and the time taken to complete the process would be short compared to this one, because even after, I mean, if it's after a couple of years, they would be finding it easy. But initial times, while you are converting from traditional to SRI, it would take some extra time, and you have to bear the cost. So this is how we have to transplant it. So the another difference between the normal conventional and the SRI method after transplanting is, in traditional methods, in the main field they would allow the water to stagnate. So they have the feeling that in paddy field always the water should be stagnating, and they wouldn't allow the land to get dry. So this is but here in SRI method we have to make it in such a way like there should be a period of dry and there should be a period of moist in the soil. It's like we have to, after transplanting, we will allow water for a week, so that even the water won't be of too much, it would just moist the soil. So we will be moistening it for a week, and after that we let it dry. So dry in the sense we will be seeing even cracks on the surface. So once if it's dry, we will be moistening it again. So we have to do this periodically. So it should be alternating of wetting and drying regularly. So this is a complete different process which is different from the traditional method. So the another problem here would be the weeding. So once we allow the land to dry, so the weeds would start growing, and the weed germination compared to traditional method, in this method would be high. So you would be seeing a lot of weeds. But the main advantage of SRI method is converting these weeds into kind of a manure. So we use cono weeders for this. Weeders are the one in which, rather than plucking and throwing away the weeds, which we would be doing in traditional methods, we use the weeders so that we would cut the weeds and we would deposit it under the soil, so that the weeds would become a nutrient for the plants. So this is a major advantage of SRI method. So in that, so we would be using the weeds as kind of nutrients. So the main reason for spacing of 25 to 30 centimeter in this SRI method is, first thing is it would allow each plant to get enough sunlight. So each plant would be getting enough sunlight, and the air circulation or the aeration would be good if we are giving enough space. Also, since the number of seedlings in a hill is so less, so each plant, there won't be much of a congestion, and each plant would have its own space to grow. So the growth of root rate compared to the traditional method is high in this method. So once the roots grow well, the plants would get, the number of tillers in the paddy would get increased automatically. So this is what we have observed. So normally in a hill, if we are capable of, if we could see 30 to 40 hills, 40 tillers in a hill after say 50 days of paddy cultivation. So here we could see around 60 to 80 tillers. So number of tillers in a hill would get increased in such a way, the number of grains at the end of the harvest would be more. So the number of tillers would be high in this. Also, since we are using the weeds as nutrients, the usage of nutrients would be a bit less compared to nutrients, in the sense fertilizers or whatever inputs we used to give would be a bit less compared to the traditional method. So in this way we could reduce the input cost. So the normal weeding compared to traditional method would be a bit high. So normally we do one time weeding after 30 days. So at the end of around 40 to 50 days before the formation of grains, we do another weeding. So, but the second weeding would be of less. I mean, the number of weeds would be less. But here in this method, you will be seeing lot of weeds, and we have to do at least 2 to 3 times. So the drawback would be this: the cost of weeding would be a bit higher compared to the traditional methods, because what we have witnessed is the usage of weeders, the corner weeders we have been using. We couldn't find enough person to use it. If we have 10 or 15 acres, they find it difficult to pull, because in our area the soil is kind of sandy, so they're finding it a little bit hard to pull, and it takes a lot of time than it could take in a traditional method. So that's one of the drawbacks I have witnessed personally. So other than that, if they have started doing it regularly, they would find it easier. So initial cost of weeding would be also high compared to traditional methods. So the grain started, the panicles after it would start forming after 60 days. So during the formation of grains, from the 60th day to till 10 to 15 days, we should maintain a good amount of water. It's not like we should. It's like we shouldn't let the soil to be dry. So we should maintain water during the 10 days. So other than that, it should be a periodic wetting and drying. So during the formation of the grain, still the 70% growth of the grain, so we should maintain good amount of water. So once after 70 days, consider the crop is of total time is 100 days. So after 70th to 80th day, once the grain started forming well and it's crosses 70% of its growth, so we should let it dry. It is similar to the traditional method. So from that time onwards till the harvesting, we should let it dry. So this is how we have to do during the paddy cultivation in SRA method. Our main advantage of it is we are giving more space for the plants to grow in this method. So we are not making any congestion. So we are allowing each plant to grow in its own space. We are while we are doing the weeding using corner weed, we could cut some of the roots of the plants, and those side roots it would cut. So it would enhance the growth of more roots underneath. So in some ways it would increase the number of grains in each trillers. So actually we have, personally I have seen the overall the total increase of yield before compared to traditional method, it's around 10 to 15%. Like when we have harvested 28 to 30 bags before this method, so now we are getting around 30 to 33 bags, and we are still fine-tuning the process. So once we perfect or once we improve the process further, we would be having the target of on 35 to 40 bags. So over the period of time, while we are fine-tuning it or improving it further, we are witnessing the increase of protection.
Okay.
So the main difference between SRI and the conventional method is the usage of water. Let's come from the beginning. So the usage of seeds, it would be 25 to 30 kilograms per acre in traditional methods, but we are using only 10% of it, like 2 to 3 kilograms in this SRI method. So the input cost for the seeds would be a bit less, a lot less compared to traditional methods. And the usage of water, in traditional method we would see the paddy field full of water every time, but here we are reducing it to a considerable amount, so we would use very less amount of water compared to traditional methods. And the cost of land preparation in traditional method is too high, like we have to plow it regularly, we have to water it. There will be 2 or 3 stages of plowing in traditional methods, but here we don't have to plow it much, just initial plowing, and we allow the water on top of it, and we make sure the soil is level. One of the important thing in this method is we have to have the field level. So if there is the field is not level and if it's uneven, that's a chances of water stagnation in particular area, and the point of the plants getting decayed or rotten is a bit higher. So we have to make sure that the land is even in this. So the land preparation cost is also less compared to traditional methods. But the main drawback would be the weedings. But also, since we are converting these weedings into nutrients, other than the labor cost involved in weeding, it's still the advantage of having more weeds, because more number of weeds is some kind of directly proportional to the good nutrients for the plants. So and also the labors when you're starting up fresh would be a bit hard to find, because labors would be used to do those traditional methods. So asking them to do it in such a particular set of process would be a bit difficult. They would take some time to get used to this. So initial labor would be a bit costly compared to the traditional methods, but once they are used to this, they will find it a bit easier. So I think I have covered most of it. So hello, ma'am.
Yeah, please continue.
Yeah, ma'am, I'm done, ma'am.
Okay. Thanks, Mr. Satish, for the informative talk. Now I request audience, please start your questions now by typing in chat box. Okay. Can a non-farmer can start directly SRI method on his barren farmland?
Shall I type it back, ma'am, or shall I?
No, please answer it. Please answer it.
Okay. Yeah, a non-farmer could start it directly. It's a kind of a advantage over the traditional farmers, because we would be having a different set of new set of mindsets compared to them. They would be having a set of rules they would be following 30 to 40 years. They would find it hard to switch from that to here. So it would be very much. So if you're starting new means, yeah, it's appreciable and you could do it well.
Okay. Is SRI an organic system of production?
No, it's actually just a method. So whether you are following organic methods or chemical usage, so it's just a set of process. So you could use it to both. If you are, organic is just a matter of using the fertilizers which are produced in organic way.
Okay.
So if you are already into organic farming, so you can just use this method so that the yield would be better.
Okay. So you mean to say, yeah.
Yeah, it's based on your own mindset. Some are saying organic is good, but some are saying chemical fertilizer is good. But I feel chemical fertilizer with correct usage or some well-planned usage would be fine.
Okay. Can a farmer switch to SRI method immediately if he is using the conventional method for a long time?
Yeah, sure he can switch it to SRI method. So initially they would find it a little bit difficult, but once they get used to it, they feel it's more comfortable. Yeah, they can switch it.
Okay. What are the factors important to consider for the farmland in which SRI method has to be used?
The land should be even. So and that's more than enough, man, because if they are already doing the paddy cultivation, so the usage of the water, and because paddy is more about having good amount of water. So if they have good water and if they are already doing paddy cultivation, all they have to consider is the land should be even, because when we are not using so much of water, we are allowing the land to dry. So when we are in the drying phase, the whole land should be dried. So if it's not even, a particular area would be in moist, and the water would be stagnating in the particular area, which would be harmful and allow the plants to die.
Okay, and water requirement is needed?
Oh yeah, ma'am. So water requirement it would be a bit less, but still we need a good amount of water here.
Okay. As you said, weed is a little problem in this method. Then organic fertilizers like vermiculture will be a problem in this?
Actually, weed is a problem because so much of weeds should be growing. But the fertilizer is what you are doing initially. So if you are using a vermiculture before, so you can use it here also. There won't be a problem in this.
Okay. So can this method be used in any soil across India?
Oh yeah, ma'am, it can be used, but there should be a little amount of fine tuning required here and there. Like you have to consider the soil, and if you're already using paddy cultivation, if you're already good in paddy cultivation, you can switch it to this method easily. But if you're starting to switch it from some other, if you're this is the first time you are going for paddy cultivation, you have to consider, you have to check it to your local some kind of government farms and just to find it out whether this land is suitable for growing paddy, and if you have enough nutrients of everything, you can start it. You can use it all over India.
Okay. And one more thing we would like to know, how does this SRI benefits the poor households?
It's like, sorry ma'am, poor household?
Yeah. How does SRI benefits the poor households?
The input cost would be less, that's point number one. And with the reduced input cost, we will have good yield, and the quality of the grains would be also higher, I mean in good rate. So the overall you would have less input cost and good production.
Okay. Now I mean, if it benefits poor households in such a way, then how can the SRI also benefits the larger farmers?
Yeah, it's similar, ma'am. So it's like rather than getting 50 rupees for your whole produce, here you will be getting 55 rupees, ma'am. That's the whole difference. Okay.
And what is the minimum and maximum acres of land needed for using SRI method of paddy cultivation?
So if you are a fresher and if you are starting it new, it's better to start from 1 acre or 2 acres, because we have to know what are the things we could do, because the corner weeder usage and all those things will require good strong labor. So if you are starting it fresh, it's advisable to start 1 or 2 acres.
Okay. In SRI method, organic or chemical fertilizer which is used and how it helps in getting better yield?
It's like if you have been using organic fertilizer from in previous times, so like if you're getting some 20-25 bags in this, previously you'll be getting 10-15% of increase. So it's not about the usage of organic or chemical. It's the method which will increase the yield.
Okay. Is there any institute or NGO giving the training on preparing the farmers for SRI method?
No, all the local government agri units will be giving training, but particularly you could contact KVK.
Okay. So which variety in paddy or rice is grown best in SRI method?
Yeah, there is no particular variety we could say. So yeah, the whole point is increasing the yield compared to the previous method, irrespective of the method of, like a chemical or organic, or irrespective of the seeds we are using, the whole production will get increased. Actually, they are still finding out which variety would be giving more yield, but as far I know, we are also trying out and we are just checking with various varieties.
Okay. And how much increase in yield a farmer can get in this method compared to the conventional method?
Yeah, initially if you are doing at least 60 to 70% of the methods correct, you will be getting at least 10% increase.
Okay. Does SRI require specific plant varieties?
Actually, they have started with rice, I heard, but I'm not sure of it. They could also do it with sugarcane. Some millets, they are also following this method.
Okay. SRI method is certainly better than the conventional method. So do you think the farmers have some resistance to try it out?
Yeah, actually, initially they would be kind of afraid, because they have been doing some conventional methods of last 2 or 3 decades. Suddenly, if someone comes and ask them to switch it to new method, they would find they just have some initial fear. Rather than fear, I think if they find it someone else is doing and getting some good yields, they will just try it out. It's kind of internal fear rather than a kind of external resistance, I guess.
Okay. Then how has the SRI methodology spread around the world?
I think nowadays most of the countries are following it, but I'm not sure. I mean, if I'm just googling it, I could find in a lot of countries they have started using this method. In India, it's spreading out fast. That's what I could know.
Okay. So our members wants to know how long you are associated with this method.
I have been doing it for the past 1.5 years. 1 year actually.
Okay. Members, any more questions? Yeah. May I know where did this SRI originate?
Hello, ma'am.
Hello.
Yeah.
Yeah, where did this SRI originate?
Yeah, actually, I have just searched and they are told it's started in Madagascar. Some kind of scientist started it in 1983.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Can you please type in your email ID and contact number so we can discuss?
Yeah, sure, ma'am.
Yeah. Yeah. And please your contact number.
Yeah, I'm happy.
Okay. And I would also like to know, is there any environmental benefits of applying this SRI methodology?
Yeah, actually, there's a debate going on, ma'am. Like someone saying it would harm the soil if you are using it in long term. But there's a debate going on, and as far as I know, I couldn't find it in anything in the last 1.5 years. What have I doing?
Okay. Okay, fine. Audience, any more questions? Okay. I hope there are no more questions. And if the audience has any further questions, please visit online education thread in webinar thread. And here is the link where you can post your questions in the forum and continue the discussion directly with Mr. Satish. I would like to inform the audience the recording of this talk will be uploaded in webinar thread of our discussion forum. And before I end this meeting, I would also like to let you know about our website. It is www.vmgmart.com. If you are looking for any agriculture products, please visit this site. I would like to thank everyone for attending this webinar. Thanks, Mr. Satish, for the informative talk.
Thanks, ma'am. Thanks for the opportunity.
Yeah, thank you. And I would also like to thank the audience for joining us. This is an event organized by agricultureinformation.com. Please visit our webinar thread under the online education section for updates on forthcoming events. So I will be closing this meeting now. Have a nice day, everyone.